Now, there are two ways I can go about doing this fan fiction story. Way one's the boring way, and we have a similar movie just with a different ending. Or there's way two, a funner way. In that fun way, we change the story. Which I think that is the way we're going to go. Bum bum bum. The movie would open up similar. Nothing would change in the opening scenes or anything else. Peter would arrive at the Darling residence to find his shadow. Everything plays out the same there. When things change is going to be later in the movie. Possibly at the scene where Hook kidnaps Wendy, does Wendy decide to stay in Neverland. Wendy realizes that her father was always holding her back. He was trying to make her like him, stone cold and ruthless. To then put all of his cruel teachings into her daughter. Now, as I said before, I think all the stress that Wendy was going through at home and in Neverland bottled up to her doing her suicide attempt. That still remains. Wendy would have a few flashbacks showing her father telling her that this would be her last night in the nursery and everything else that was in the beginning of the film. The only thing I am changing in these flashbacks is that Wendy would have a moment similar to Peter Parker in a Spectacular Spider-Man series. Wendy's head would be spinning, and Wendy would be in a room with a black goopy alien. Yes, this would be a symbiotic version of Wendy. The symbiote version of Wendy would be a black symbiote girl wearing a black nightgown. Wendy would be surrounded by the people that care for her, and then Wendy would fight back. She would fight back against the symbiote, showing it her light, and the symbiote would hiss. The symbiote would be afraid of this, as the symbiotes feel the power, and as the symbiote feels the power emanating off of her, it no longer feels her rage. Now, symbiotes feed on rage, a powerful emotion that everyone has. After seeing that this girl has no rage, it quickly unlatches. Wendy would realize that Neverland's a place for her to stay in. Because if she stays in Neverland, she'll never have to grow up. She could even learn to fly with her own shadow. She could even fly with Peter from London to Neverland night by night. Wendy decides to just go home to pack her stuff and leave. Now the scenes would play out similar here, with the final battle aboard Hook's ship and Wendy looking on. Wendy would then look to her brothers and kneel down to them, saying that, "I will not be going home. I'll be staying in Neverland." Her brothers try to say that they're staying. If she stays, we stay. But Wendy tells them, "Keep my stories alive." She then hugs her brothers as the scene would cut to black. We would then cut to the end of the movie, where Peter and Wendy and the boys would sail the flying ship home. Peter asks Wendy if she really wants to stay. And then Tink actually speaks for the first time. She says that, "We've been spying on her for years. We've been spying on her for 3 straight years. I think she deserves a break from her cruel father."